Carl Faubert, private detective, had just traveled thousands of kilometers from Montreal to reach this remote, middle-of-nowhere area situated near the far northern Lake Atamipek. Granted, that was a great distance to cover for a sole client, but word had it that he was a particularly wealthy one. Carl had to drive a bit further north in order to meet with wealthy industrialist William Hamilton. William Hamilton was a prosperous owner who had acquired various businesses, as well as metal mines in this northern region. Carl, always diligent in his work, always carried his log on him, in which he scribbled down thoughts and leads alike during the course of his investigations. The Polaroid, Carl's long-standing and faithful ally, had seen its share of husbands caught red-handed cheating. There's always something out there waiting to be snapped away, even when removed from civilization. Hamilton is waiting for Carl in the general store. It was time for him to get down to business. William Hamilton enjoyed a lavish country house built in the very heart of the northern forests, not too far from here. The local populace was divided when it came to the affluent man. Some saw a wealthy philanthropist dedicated to improving the region's economy. Others, an aging Englishman who would do anything to further his fortune. And these ones hated him enough to go on about scheming against him. Carl was not made aware that winter would come early this year. The North made clear who was the boss up there: snow, which didn't care much about the date when it felt like dumping its first load of the year. Hamilton had recently acquired a few local businesses, but the last straw was the reopening of a mine, which gave rise to a wave of protests and threats from the Cree people. Given these circumstances, Carl reckoned that a good number of people must be feeling compelled to oppose Hamilton in one way or another. So far, only the industrialist's house had been a target, but soon enough, Carl thought, the target would become the man himself. Spanning several hectares of virgin forest blanketed in eternal snow, the MANASTAN region, comprised mostly of bellowing caribous and inviolate lakes, wasn't exactly touristic. It was said that its lands had harbored the Cree people for thousands of years, but since the Industrial Revolution, it seemed that all they harbored were metal mines. Very few souls claimed the territory surrounding Lake Atamipek. It could barely be called a village, an enclave, or a settlement perhaps. Anything that illustrates middle-of-nowhereness bordering the backwoods of the Cree kingdom. Since 1941, the general store provided the populace with various goods that couldn't be plucked from nature itself. William Hamilton had recently taken over the place. In fact, the whole region was now his. Gilles Lachance owned the general store. That is, before Hamilton got his hands on it. Whatever happened here, things got pretty rough, and not a trace of Hamilton. Finding a key is easy. Finding the right keyhole, not so much. Gilles Lachance, Carl recollected, was the general store's manager. Should Hamilton not be available, he was the man to talk to. Or what if Hamilton had moved up his appointment with his physician? You don't leave ammunition out in the open like this. Was Gilles Lachance that careless? The snowstorm pummeled everything in its path. Carl was not surprised when he heard no tone. By all appearances, the general store also served as a post office. Letters and packages awaited the locals' daily visit. Carl was used to strange phenomena, but a chunk of ice like this, as if an iceberg came out of the ground, that was a first. Jumping from that height was akin to tempting death. Perhaps that man on the snowmobile had seen enough of this world already. Amateur hunters showing some pride at having killed a nice pelted beast. With men like this roaming the area, wolves would become extinct within 10 years, Carl thought. The note explained that both the garage and the store shouldn't be supplied with electricity at the same time. Carl was no electrician, but he could identify a wiring problem when he saw one. Carl proudly remembered an essential fact of his Survival 101 class in the Army. Wolves won't approach crowded areas. Or was it about bears? It sounded like an explosion had occurred in front of the store. Looking at the controls wouldn't make the lift budge. The poor thing needed electricity to work. The transformer station had burned, and the wire had snapped. Carl could wait for an electrician to show up, but under such circumstances, the effort seemed desperate. A crowbar. Useful tool to pull out nails, or to carry, just in case. A milkman had to drive by every week to fill the bottles. The fresh milk indicated a recent visit. A wintry atmosphere surrounded the house. The soundlessness of the area suggested it was empty. If the blankets suggested people woke up precipitously, Carl saw evidence of a disorderly escape. So what was it? The track was fresh. That meant the car sunk down just a little while ago. Now where the hell could the passengers possibly have gone? The road turned into nothingness. Carl hated dead ends. Made him feel trapped. It seemed like the lake managed to completely swallow the road. The track was fresh. That meant the car sunk down just a little while ago. Now where the hell could the passengers possibly have gone? Someone must have dropped this in a hurry. But whoever did was heading into the woods. Carl's tracking instincts were quickly kicking in. If Carl was to keep going forward, the abnormally intense weather would make quick work of him. He needed to find a proper outfit, or even better, something motorized. All of a sudden, 4 phantasmagoric figures were fixing their gaze on him. What the hell was going on? Carl sensed that the cold was beating a retreat, as if he was moving away from some kind of center of gravity.